Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Sums of Our Parts. We are on episode 6, and we're going to dive into hypersexualization. Today we do have a special guest named Trish. However, our other two speakers are not here, but they are here with us in spirit, and they hear everything that we're going to talk about. So, once again, welcome to the podcast, episode 6.
All right, so we're going to start our ritual off right and just bring intention to the space, ground it in the conversations that are about to be had. Let's take a deep breath before we get into the meat. Deep breath in and out. Good job. Jordan, what's your intention word for this conversation today?
Harmony.
I love harmony. Okay. My intention word for this conversation is honesty. Ebony, what is your intention word for this conversation today?
I have two.
Okay.
So, I want to say interested and learning.
Okay. Those are all good. Mike, what is your intention word for this conversation today?
Fine.
Surprise, surprise. Okay, Trish, welcome. What is your intention word for this conversation today?
Truth.
That's a good one. Okay.
Thank you, Kirsty, for setting up our space and our intentions for this session. When we started talking about the topic of hypersexualization, the first thing that came to mind was recently I was walking with a friend, and we were walking past like an outdoor little water play fountain where the kids can play, and we were talking about my youngest son. He's 5, and she was like, "Oh, you should just let him run and play in the sprinkler in just his underwear." And I was like, no, we can't do that. Like, what if other people see him, or other people are taking pictures, or there's like a creeper around? Like, I want to protect his little body from. But then I thought about it as it was coming out of my mouth, and I was just like, but I'm always telling him about being free and having freedom of expression. And so, the question that I really had reeling through my head is, how do you find the balance between freedom of expression and protecting yourself or your people that you care for from being exploited? Like, how do you really find that balance? Because there's so many stories that you hear about, like pedophiles who have, these hard drives full of pictures of kids and all this weird stuff. And it's like, I don't want my child to be part of that. But at the same time, I don't want my kid to feel like he has to walk around in a potato sack, to protect himself from the world. So really, like, how do you find that balance?
I'm gonna say, as far as like the balance in between that, you're doing a good job, but then we also got to be mindful that for every good there's a bad. So in applying that, like your thought process when you thought about it, in their country they're not thinking about it. Where you're at, they're not thinking about it like that. In America, we're thinking about it 24/7 because it's very heavy here. It's very in our face kind of thing where they look at everything like that is taboo, and so it's like, or it's basically asking for trouble kind of thing. So their Americans upbringing, yours in particular, as far as all of ours, is basically geared towards that way, where in other countries, they, like you said, they didn't see anything wrong with it, and that's their thing.
Right.
Granted, though, there are bad people in the world, so whether you shelter them or not, it's still gonna, not saying not saying anybody's asking for it, but people are gonna do what they're gonna do. Like, we take away guns, they're gonna find a way to kill somebody or something else. Like, even now, it's just crazy that with everything that happens, people find ways to try to take something negative and still make it even more negative, and they take the positive and make it even more negative. They take the positive and make it into a negative. So in regards to like hypersexualization, it is an innate disdain quality of human nature to basically find the wrong or do something that has been given to us as a gift and a blessing to twist it and form it into something completely negative, and that plays a role into everything we do. And like we can say from the invention of the cell phones and the tablets, great things. Now it's like you click one button, it's like, oh, porn site popping up everywhere. Hey, he's looking at porn. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like you want to be a good parent, you want to protect your kid for everything else, but then you also want them to be free to express
Right.
themselves. So
Right.
it's I don't have any kids, so all I can say is for me thinking as a child, what would I want to hear to be prepared for this world is be yourself, but understand that there's good and then there's bad people. And then when they ask why is there bad people, the rule is that for every equal and opposite, that whole thing, there's a yin and a yang. So it has to exist for everything to be normal, I guess.
Right. Another thing in terms of hypersexualization that comes to mind is like breastfeeding. There are so many people who feel like breastfeeding in public is natural. And my breast is not a sexual object. It is a, tool for feeding my child. And a lot of people do not feel like women should be able to breastfeed in public because they feel like your breast is a sexual organ and it should be hidden. But it's like, again, finding that balance. Why? Because you're sexualizing my breast. Why is it that I have to cover up my child or go feed my child in a bathroom or some other obscure place just to make you feel comfortable or so that I won't be objectified? It's like, at what point do we put our own personal freedom above somebody else's inability to control their impulses, their urges, their objectification? It's a really tough line to walk.
I understand what you're saying, and I like the point that was made by Michael.
Mike.
Okay. I feel as though, and you're right, it's like talking to your kids at an early age about their body. It's talking to them about how not people, but like the perspectives of others, but letting them be comfortable and be kids for as long as they possibly can, but in safe environments, and just finding your safety net so that your kids can have that freedom of expression so they can grow into this child who's confident, because denying it and, just avoiding the topic or keeping them fully drenched in, like, I don't know, a cloth or something, like it's just hiding who they truly are meant to be. And it's sad because there are some areas where it doesn't matter what you put on. I remember growing up, it didn't matter if I had a sweatsuit on, like I'd still get harassed walking to the bus station. Like people just don't know when to quit. And so in those moments, I find it beautiful because I'm learning a lesson of, okay, I'm very uncomfortable right now and this is not okay. But then I'm pulling into this deeper sense of, I'm going to have to figure out how to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So I started speaking up for myself, and sometimes it went well. Other times people thought they had a leg to stand on when it came to my body, which is ridiculous. But it's just just never walking alone, just talking to your kids about safety. Like, what does that look like? What does unhealthy things look like? Because the constant feedback of like, hey, wear this, don't wear that, show more skin, what's high, what's good. It's like confusing. It's so confusing. For a parent, it's actually petrifying, and our boys and our girls, like they're very much on disposal so young. So it's really up to us and our communities to provide those safe spaces and have those conversations like this so that the kids are like, oh, okay, I've actually had that happen to me. And okay, how do we deal with it? Because there's no stopping the madness. They are totally grooming animals out there. Could I say that on the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Animals it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a swear word. As long as you're not dropping no F bombs and B bombs, we're good.
I'm gonna do my best.
That's my department, though.
Okay.
My department. I can't do it either, but every now and again it'll slip out.
For me, this conversation is really one of awareness and like making yourself aware of it. Like when my husband and we went out to a restaurant one time, and the server, came up to us. He was a man and was like talking to my husband about how my husband should probably get his shotgun ready in regards to my baby. And she's only 3 years old. Yeah. She wasn't, she was just doing her baby thing. She's a beautiful child. And to me, that just, it creeped me out because I'm like, why are we talking about this? Can she just not be a beautiful baby? She's 3 years old, and that made me want to be a little more protective of her in that moment. But I had to recognize that going to the extreme of being overprotective of her is not necessarily the answer either, even though the mama bear in me really wants to shield her from all this sexualization of her and stuff.
And to comment on that, when men say that, we're half the time we're really joking. That's just implying, that's saying you have a beautiful kid, carry a gun. That we don't really mean carry a gun. We're just saying your kid looks beautiful. People gonna knock it on the door. Granted, though, how you may have taken it, I can see how you say that, but I say it all the time, man. You better make sure you have a gun ready because you're pretty. You're gonna have a lot of people knocking on the door to talk to her. But we don't really mean like, yo, she's in danger or anything like that. It's just,
I
and once again,
understand.
that was the way we were all brought up and taught, though. So it's like,
I definitely understand that. I understand he thought he was trying to give my child a compliment. Right. But in the context of thinking about it further, why are we going to when she's dating? She's just a 3-year-old. Right. Like, we don't be a child. Her virginity being protected or whatever we're talking about here, because I'm not sure if it's the dating or people coming after her. Like, when she's of age, she will have the skills to, move throughout that space for herself. And I have a whole nother idea about virginity, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But I definitely understand where his mindset was. So I didn't lash out. I was just like, I don't like this.
Ebony, do you have any thoughts before I pose my question?
I'm just taking it all in because sexuality, sexualization, or however you want to do it, just personal experience. Of course, me growing up, I was always a tone thick, as they would call it, individual. So when not realizing me only being 15 years old, they looked at me as a sex symbol. You this, you that. And just thinking about it now, like, damn, can I just wear some short shorts and be cute? Can I wear some, I'm thinking about, and it just popped up in my head how they say, oh, Megan and Stallion. They've been calling me Stallion since I was 15 years old, not actually knowing that they were sexualizing me as a 13-year-old young girl. And as Black women, and I'm thinking about all the things that you're talking about. The internet is a great piece of what goes on today. What we see and what our children see on the internet is a big impact on how, I ain't gonna say society sees us, but how the kids see the world. Half dressed, and I'm not knocking at anything because that was me. I thought the only way for me to get someone to talk to me or someone to, whatever, is me wearing a short skirt or, I don't know. So for example, you talk about how they are nude here, which me coming here, I had to actually learn that. But in South Carolina, it's kind of accepted too when you go to the bike rally. It's kind of accepted too because it's considered sexy for you to be half dressed, or it's considered sexy to, have your, behind hanging out. It's considered sexy when you have on something just covering your nipples. It's considered sexy, but in actuality, we see ourselves as sex symbols. Just like, with breastfeeding, prime example, I breastfed my friend girl. She used to feel literally uncomfortable when she had to go in a nasty bathroom and breastfeed her child. And I feel like that's like so like don't cover. What are you covering? Me, I'm open, and I dared someone to say something to me while I was breastfeeding because somebody had looked at her, and I was like, "Would you cover up your face if you was eating? Try eating with your face covered up and see how it feels." So we have to really, really, really look at that. And me coming to Germany and being open to the nudity and how okay it is, I literally felt uncomfortable working in a doctor's office, and I've worked in plenty doctor's office, how free they are, like literally how free they are. Women, men, just butt naked, and they will stand up here and have this woman, no, not her, but a man literally was naked. Naked. Had a full conversation with me as if he had on clothes. That put me in an uncomfortable situation. But they looking at me like, get with the program.
Yeah, this is
So
normal. Yeah.
yeah, it's normal. It's definitely normal. So just it the this topic can go a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I like I say, I'm listening. I'm learning. I'm tuned in on this one. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, to tag on to what you were saying though, because it's kind of funny that you say it like that. Because once again, we got to remember that in America, we kind of like sheltered a little bit. We're kind of they're in a sense they want to play the role of modesty in a little bit, but outside in Africa, other parts of the world, it's like
Mhm.
that like
Mhm.
being completely
Yeah.
naked isn't a problem.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
normal.
normal.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm gonna
And they
back
make you
up.
feel dirty too. They keep it such a
Yes.
secret, and they make you so shamed and guilted for something that's
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
And
So
they
and
put that horrible spin on it. It's funny that you mentioned
Yes.
that. My family's from Trinidad. So, we dance, we wind up our waist, and we just get free and we do all these things. When I went to the US to school and we were at a club, I'm like, oh, Sean Paul, whatever. I'm dancing and dancing and dancing. And
Yeah.
people are kind of like, what are you doing? I'm dancing. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's
Right.
right? And
Everything is
that
sexualized.
it was terrible, but that is the way that we danced back home. And then I come to the States and it's like, you're, you're freaky or something crazy like that. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
What is happening?
You're
Like,
you're too free. You're too
what? Yeah,
free.
yeah, yeah. So I couldn't
It's like
even
you
be
actually.
myself.
Yeah, they make it seem like America makes it seem like you're out looking for it when you just trying to express yourself in the best way known to possible that you were brought up in. Like
Right.
it's when the talk about the whole dancing thing in Haiti, they have this thing called where you're dancing very close to a person like that. It looks like somebody gonna get pregnant when the song's over, but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's how it is. But then you come to America and it's like, oh, this they like you said the American culture makes you feel dirty for expressing yourself and being yourself. It's like
For
any
things that
part when you go up north, down south, anywhere, it's like it is
Yeah.
taboo, and it's just like then you like if you're being brought up and raised into the culture of America, and then you step outside of that box, and then you go other places, it's like oh, it's not like that here.
it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
Wherever you're
I
going
have
to.
to. Can I jump in for a second because I have to? We look at it as a taboo, and actually, like most of you guys know, my husband is a Muslim, so the reason, and I had to understand because I didn't want to cover up. I'm not gonna cover up because I am who I am. But when I actually seen a actual Ibadu covered from her when eyes, all of this to the hair down. And I was like, I wanted to understand why do you cover? I understand the hair part, but the rest of your body, why do you have to cover up so? And as it was explained to me, is so men won't get that temptation to see
Right.
the body of a woman, because a woman's body is her temple. And once again, it's like, Can it still be her temple with her wearing shorts? You understand what I'm saying? What makes
But
it?
see, the religious aspect of it, I feel like it makes it the woman's responsibility to stop a man from lusting instead of holding a man responsible for what's going on in his head and in his body.
Yes,
And I
yes,
feel like
yes.
that's not fair.
That's
It's
archaic,
not my
and
responsibility to hold you accountable
You
for
were
your
accountable.
nasty thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
it's
So
very archaic though. It's very archaic. Like when you talk about that and the whole religious aspect, then if we're pretty much talking about hyperlization and we're going into that, it's been ingrained in everybody since birth into the creation of time. Because how do we say Adam and Eve came into the world butt naked, then all of a sudden clothes and shoes came into play, and then you get to certain
They
parts of the
felt
area, women,
shameful.
and you get to a certain part of the area of the world where women have to be covered up from head to toe. All you can see is their eyes, and to do anything other than that is disrespectful, and you're meant to be hung, killed, whatever. And it's like, who makes these rules? And I hate to say it, men. I really do, because it's
Yeah.
like it's like you can wipe you're marry a woman that's covered from head to toe, but then if you look at a woman that's naked, you're lusting over her. But then it's like, but you're married, and then they put the whole rules and regulations into it to it's a form of control, to be honest with you. It's really a form of control because there's nothing else. If there's anything else about it,
It really
it's
is.
just that there's nothing but a form of control. If the entire world grew up naked, no clothing, no hypersexualization would take place.
Right, right.
Nobody. But it's like saying don't look behind the robe, but nobody gives you enough reason why not to look behind the robe or behind the door. You're gonna look, you're gonna want to see. Now, but if you walk by a door or a hallway and every day you see the same thing, you ain't going, oh no, because
Right,
you've
right.
seen it already. So the fact that the entire globe plays into a role
Well, not the
of
entire globe, but
shaming people of having clothing on and not being covered is very telling in how it's interesting how a few individuals can sway an entire population of people. And that's literally where we're at, is where a few individuals can sway an entire population of people. In America, um, a politician just said, "Oh, women shouldn't have abortions because it's a sin." But then his argument is, even if she was raped by an uncle or a family member, I mean that's natural. Like he's okaying the fact that a woman is basically being molested, sexually assaulted by a family member, and that child coming into that world
yeah.
off of that is a great thing because who had and his argument was who hasn't been brought here by a form of like ancestor and I'm like that's his argument.
Mhm.
It's the white guy. That's his
Uh,
argument to basically saying women shouldn't get abortions because you don't know what you're bringing into this world. Yes, Sasuke, I don't follow where if you're so in a sense he's like okaying the behavior in the act. He's
I
okaying the
I
behavior
just
in
feel
the
like
act, and I
they
don't like it.
really want to make sure that you know that your body does not belong to you from
yeah,
the time that your mom gives birth. Like
yeah,
immediately, your body does not belong to you. The doctor
yeah.
has a say. The dentist has a say. The teachers have a say. And I love teachers. Don't
yeah.
get me wrong, but I just
That's
see
for
like
sure.
this pattern of like, wow, you don't have any ownership of your life. That's what they make it seem like. Like you're responsible for Billy,
Mhm.
not yourself when we're at school. Make sure Billy's okay and not you, right? Or when you're born, here's all these vaccinations you have to give your child. Do you have to give that vaccination, or can I wait till their brain is developed before I give them that? Because of it's just the control thing is exactly what it is. It's all a form of control. Whether you cover your body up or not, you're still subjected to still the violent crimes that are out there,
Okay.
despite any of that. Like it doesn't stop anything from happening. Um,
Right.
and
Right.
it's sad
I
Yeah.
think.
because as
Oh,
parents, we were like, hey, we're trying to teach you one way, yet the world is like teaching you that way. Go ahead,
Something
sorry.
completely different. Yeah.
no, you're
Hmm.
fine.
It's
I think
confusing for
there.
kids.
Yeah, it is confusing, especially on top of that when there's certain messaging that is in a lot of music that is catered to children. I remember this one example, Cardi B and Megan the Stallion. They did the Grammys, and I understand what shaming women for their bodies looks like, but then on another extent, they were like making out with one another and
Again,
like
hypersexualization.
Exactly. And then I was confused in myself saying, am I sexualizing them or am I perceiving,
They were sexualizing themselves so
see, and
that
that's
you
what I'm
didn't do it for them.
right.
No,
And then
but
I
but
felt bad. I was like, wait a minute, I'm confused. And then Twitter was like, if you're sexualizing them, you're wrong. You just want women to sit at home and knit. And I was like, that's not me at all.
I mean,
No,
no, it's not. But it's funny though because everyone talks about that like it's a hot topic, and I'm just like, so
Yeah.
what?
it is a
They're
hot
doing
topic.
it. It's no, but the crazy thing is about it. But this is how far we've gotten, where they're like, oh no, that's taboo, that's wrong, it shouldn't be done like that. Oh, how dare they? And I'm like, dude, it, like it's what.
But making out is a sexual thing, so how can you call
But
Yeah.
it
it's like,
And it,
sexualizing you when it's an
but the
aspect
crazy
of,
thing is, no,
like, if
but
they were just
animals,
like hugging or
yeah,
like high
no,
like high
fiving,
five.
then
no,
yeah.
but like nevertheless though, it's like animals make. Do anybody get turned on watching two lions and bears
Some
make?
do.
No.
Not me.
So it's like
Somebody
what.
might. I mean, you
That's
never
the kink
know.
for some
There's
people,
lots
honestly.
of
I mean,
stuff.
granted, though, there's some kinky. I call that a dry spell phase. That's when I know I need to get some. But
Oh my God.
like that's a dry spell phase. I'm not gonna lie, that's a dry spell phase. So it's like, oh shit,
Oh
it's getting hot.
dear.
I need to get
Okay.
some. I need to get some because now it's like, oh, they doing it. Oh, this is kind of hot.
Oh
I need
my
to go get some because this
gosh.
is just too
But
much for
I
me.
feel like that's different. Like animals
Yeah.
having sex in the wild is instinctual, right?
But,
They're not having like full on make out
Relationships.
sessions to
no,
so
but
other people can watch them. They're just doing what they got to do and they're moving on. So now if you know, like I said, if they were doing anything else in that context, I don't think it would have been sexualized. Like if you want to dance around half naked, cool. If you want to high five half naked, you want to hug half naked, cool. But you can't make out with someone intimately and then be like, don't sexualize me. Because if you didn't want to be sexualized, then why not do that in your private space or not display it for everyone to see, if
but
that
then that
makes sense.
also plays in the role of PDA. That also plays a role in public display of affection.
Right.
If
Right.
But
you and your
it
husband,
wasn't
if you and
even.
your husband is kissing and making out, yo, go in the closet somewhere. We don't want to see that. That like, granted though, what they're doing it is on a stage for thousands of people. But if you're taking
Right.
that same, if you're looking at it that way, then any form of public display, any form of holding hands or grabbing a butt or grabbing a waist or Frenching somebody is a form of hypersexualization. If you're in it, like it, like whether it's a high degree or low degree, it's still the same. the, the,
I
the whole
don't
focus is
agree.
not to care. The whole focus is just not to care. Like treating it as it's normal rather than basic. Because once again, you're thinking about it like that.
So
But in other
having sex
areas,
in public is
Is
normal. Is that
normal.
what you're saying?
no. But to be honest with you, in some tribes, is it? In some tribes in Africa, in some cultures, it is normal. It is not.
Is
It's like
it?
people walk. Yeah, some
I feel
people just
like that's
look
called
and
exhibitionist. That's a kink.
no. But see, no. But
No,
in
I
America,
don't think.
no. In
I don't
America,
think. No, wait a minute, Mike. If you're gonna use that, okay, so we're not gonna say having sex is a
I
natural
don't think
thing
the
because
sex part of it is.
it's not natural, and I don't think any part of anybody's country is having sex is natural unless
In public.
it's
In public.
In
in
public, yeah.
public.
okay.
Yeah, in public. So we're gonna take that, we're gonna reel that one back in. But in some tribals it is because of what I'm married into. I learned a lot, and I'm still open to learn. Like when you do have, like, okay, so I'm going to use example. So in some tribes, you do have four people in a room when you have sex with your husband, because they want to see if you're a virgin, or if you do the whole breaking of the hymen. But like, just to literally be out in the open
Right.
having sex, that's not allowed nowhere. I mean, I do know it happens, but it happened against women's will. Like, they're not saying,
Like
oh, have
rape?
sex with me. Yes, they're not saying, oh, have sex with me on top of the car. No, they're having sex against their will. It's not like they want to. So once again, we have to be careful when we say that, because you can't really say, grabbing somebody's butt is sexual. My husband grabbing my butt is hypersexualization. You can't. I can't agree with you on that. Normally, I have you, but I really can't agree with you on
No,
that
but
one.
that's fine. That's fine. Listen. Once again, I'm a butt grabber myself when I'm with my lady in public all day.
Right. There's context there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's all day. I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying that once again we're going off of people's perception, and that perception is their reality. And it's because of that that's why we're having this discussion right now, because a few people got together and they made hypersexualization a thing where like you said, we're having this discussion right now where I said, oh, in some areas grabbing somebody's butt is considered hypersexualization. And then we fast forward into now, it's like, oh, you can't, like, you're in Germany right now, people walking around naked.
But they're not
like
grabbing
They're
each
not
other's
touching.
no,
junk.
They're not touching, Mike.
they're
And
not.
what?
No, wait, listen, they're not touching. They're not touching, but it's still considered hypersexualization here in America because America wants to touch. I'm just saying, even if you like, so if you're walking down the beach and you're naked and your husband touches your ass, is that a form of sexual hypersexualization or not? Because one, you're naked, and two, he's cuffing your body in public.
That's my husband. That's what he's supposed to do.
And once again, people don't know he's your husband.
Context.
It's the context. People's
makes
perception
sense.
is going to be their reality, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Some people may look at it as, oh, that's normal, and other people are going to look at, ooh, this is porn going on. No, they're just holding hands.
Right. And I think that butt grabbing is a sexual thing, because generally speaking, we don't just walk up to random people and grab their butts. I mean, except with the exception of football, smacking each other's butts. But I do remember that conversation. But generally speaking, you don't just walk up to some random person and grab their butt and like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. That's not something we do. So I think in the context of hypersexualization, if you were naked and your spouse grabs your butt in a public place, that could be sexualized, because people seeing it would think, their minds would go reeling, whatever, and they could take it wherever they wanted. But with that being said, being naked in and of itself shouldn't be hypersexualized. Back to our original point. Now, what you do when you're naked, that is what takes it left, right. If you're just naked and you're doing everyday stuff, washing dishes, playing in a pool, doing whatever, if somebody takes it to a sexual level, that's on them. You can't control whether people hypersexualize you, regardless of whether you're naked, fully clothed on. You can't control that. And I think that's where I struggle the most, because when I think back to the last 10 years of my life, when I was in college, I dressed like whatever. When I was in high school, I wore t-shirts and sweatshirts and jeans, so it wasn't that serious. But once I got to college, I started dressing more revealing, and I got a lot of attention. And so from that, I realized that I don't like attention. So then I reeled it back in and started going back to dressing in t-shirts and sweatpants and all that other stuff. And now that I'm an adult, I realized that the last however many years of my life I spent hiding because I didn't want that attention from other people, even though that wasn't my intention when I put clothes on in the morning. And so the question goes back to, why should I have to hide myself so that I don't get sexualized by other people? Because my words, like Trish said, my words aren't enough for you to stop sexualizing me. Because my avoidance of your attention is not enough. Why do I have to cover myself up so that I can feel and walk through the world like a somewhat normal human being? And even then, I still get attention.
Yeah.
Those are good questions.
I remember when I was in elementary school, my dad wouldn't take me and my sister out like to go eat or anything like that in public. And I never understood why. And then once I got older, I asked him about it. And he was like, well, because people would think that you're my girlfriend. What? I was in like elementary school, really? And that was legitimately his reasoning. In his mind, he knew that other people would look at us and think that he was an old man with a young, hot wife. And I was just like, wow, Dad, wow. That is so sad that you couldn't even go out with your daughters because people would hypersexualize us.
And you know what? That goes back to, this goes back all the way to the first episode of that messes with a person's mental state. Literally, yeah. I can't. So you mean to tell me mentally, I have to, let me just say for me, I have to show my tits or wear a push-up bra and some shorts just to get the attention that I'm looking for, opposed to me wearing some jeans and a t-shirt. I mean, but that's just me. I like the attention. That's the difference. I like the attention, but I didn't understand it at that
Right.
time what it meant. And now as I get older and I have children of my own, it's more so I'm teaching them the things that I I realize now I was in a messed up state. Like, you think that's okay and you think that's cool that you have to wear uh whatever, something half revealing to get the attention that you're looking for, or
Right.
get that attention, not realizing that they're only looking at you as a sex symbol. You
Yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it plays a big role. It does play a big role, especially in our kids, when it comes to hypersexualization, because they are, I'm gonna say some but not all, some of them are seeking attention, and
Mm-hmm.
they're seeking attention in the wrong places, or seeking attention for all the wrong reasons, and not knowing.
Right.
Once again, it goes back to grooming your kids in an early age, but you can only do so much grooming until it's okay. I'm with you. Like Trish said, fall back on Trish. They're in school 8 hours of the day, and it's only 24 hours in a day. So, what goes on in school, that's majority of what the little guys, and I'm not, that's a whole nother topic. The little guys,
Conditioning.
yes, the little guys are on, oh, you look, the little guys are different, and they've been like that. So once again, it all falls back to, why can't a young lady wear a little tennis skirt and be cute? Why do some teenage little boy, and I'm not gonna call him little boy, nappy head little boy, like I want to, because I have 3 boys of my own and I don't want no one calling my boys that. So why can't they just see them as who they are, instead of, oh, she got a big butt? What do you know about that? Do you even know what they don't? As of right now, the kids don't know what hypersexualization is, but they're doing it every day.
Well,
They're
because
doing it
this
every day.
media, that's what's portrayed on the media.
Yeah,
When you see women
yeah.
on media,
you
they're being
know, I'm a,
hypersexualized.
in a sense, yeah, but then I'm not gonna lie. Going back to me thinking about it, I like whether I had the media or not, and it wasn't. But it's like when you like somebody, you look good, and it makes your pee pee jump. It's like, oh, okay.
No,
It's
it's not about that. It's about it. Once again, if we're going back to, why can't a female, a young female like Christy, why can't her daughter just be 3? And I get where he came from too. Why can't her daughters just be 3? Why can't Jordan wear her shorts and her bra and just be comfortable? Why do we have to always think about how we are presented on the outside physically to protect our surroundings? Like, we as women, and men do too, but we as women have to protect ourselves all the time, so we won't feel the uncomfortable that we feel on a daily basis. And some men do too, not singling it out. All of them do. So that's it. What I'm trying to find my words, but
it's
yeah,
stereotype.
yeah. And
Double
that's
standards, double standards and stereotypes. Because
stereotypes.
that's what it is. That's what
Yeah,
it goes back to our
double
last few
standard.
episodes. That's what
And
it
so,
is.
and it does.
Yeah.
It does. Hypersexualization is a nutshell, and
For
all
women,
the topics
only
that
women,
we yeah, all the
only women.
topics that we
I
have talked about,
mhm. I would
and
disagree though with the hypersexualization of Black men. Historically, has definitely been a thing. Um, just
Yeah,
the
the
stigma
stallion.
of them, yeah, well endowed, Caucasian women wanting to try out being with a Black guy. Like, it's in media, it's in white chicks, it's in all these different forms of media. So Black men operating in hypersexuality from an early age, I think that feeds into a lot of girls and teenage, girls being hypersexualized. There's layers on this, and I don't think we should ignore the fact that Black men do experience it just in a different way.
Yeah,
because that is a double standard, Mike, that we don't really we don't open it up with. We don't kind of give a lens to that part of the Black male's experience.
So I have a question. We kind of talked about how, regardless of what you're wearing, a rapist is going to be attracted to whatever they're attracted to, whatever fetishes they have. It could be dressing like a little child. It could be dressing half naked. It could be naked. It could be wearing a potato sack. Whatever. People have different weird fetishes, non-weird fetishes, whatever. At the end of the day, if somebody wants to take advantage of somebody, it doesn't matter what they're wearing. People are going to take advantage because that's their intention. But the question that I would like to present to all of you is, do you feel like there's such a thing as dressing too grown? Because I hear that a lot in our culture. Like, oh,
What
she's
does that
dressing too
mean,
grown.
though?
no, that's just. I feel like that's an ignorant statement because it's like
Yeah.
a child could be wearing a suit and a tie, or a girl could be wearing a business suit, and that's like, what five fortune company you finna take over at 5 years old? But then you're not hearing that. But then when they go ahead and put on that mini skirt and that makeup and eyeliner,
Right, right.
Who you looking for right now? What attention
Or
are you
like
trying to
little girls
bring?
wearing the super long weave extensions or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Is
Double
there such thing
standards
as dressing
here.
too grown?
Yes, there is a thing dressing too grown, but Christy, I'm gonna let you go. You go, Christy.
Okay, I'm new to motherhood, but I know I received it a lot of the time, and I was just wearing shorts and t-shirts. I was called jailbait growing up. Like,
Were
and
were you full figured? Like, this is
yes,
after
oh
puberty?
yes,
Okay.
I'm a curvy woman. I have it all, but
Mm.
now, like, when I'm thinking about it in terms of motherhood, I can see where I personally did not play up. I wanted to kind of hide it because everybody told me to hide everything I had. I didn't wear the makeup. I didn't wear shorts too shorts. That's just how they fit on my body.
Right.
So going into it, I don't think that kids can dress too grown. I think they could be more revealing, like revealing as like lower cuts, not because of the way your body's formed. I'm talking about like cutouts, having
Right, like mini
like,
skirts and
yeah,
mesh.
if you pull something down a little lower or hike something up a little higher,
Right.
just for the illusion of that, I think that can be something. But I don't think someone who is not trying to, like, the energy surrounding it, I don't think just a body being a body, but I think there could be an energy of, like, I want to look older than I am. I want to present older than I am. I think it depends on the person who is dressing themselves. Because I did want to look older at a certain point too. So I know, yeah, it's just very confusing from the lens of being the mom now. Like, I'm like, okay, now I'm just confused. So yeah, I don't really have a clear answer, but that's my take on it.
Okay, Ed.
Yes, there is. You can be too grown. Yes, I am very old school. I was raised in the South, and yes, I do believe there is a thing. I believe now in society, some things are, to me, and it's just me, are not appropriate for younger children, even though I did it. And by me being a mom, I see that now. And I still think, like, this irks my nerve to my core. I do not like seeing little girls with fake hair. I cannot. That irks my nerve. I know.
Why is that?
Why should you put weave in a 5-year-old head? Why?
Maybe she wants long hair like mommy.
No, mommy needs to teach her that her hair is beautiful.
Well,
Not
not
saying that
anymore,
she's
long
not.
hair.
No,
Right.
but I'm not saying that mommy don't. Just to me, in my eyes, certain
Mhm.
things are just too grown for little girls. I still,
Is it too grown to like they're not accepting themselves? Is that why that makes it
I
too
don't,
grown?
I don't know if it's too grown to they're not
I
accepting
agree.
themselves. Like certain things
Hmm.
that
Mhm.
I see now, knowing you. Why do you have like? Okay, I get all the cute little pictures and all the little, little crop tops and all
No,
that. I get
no,
all that. I do. But however, to me, I
Mhm.
still see
no.
the full blown Easter dresses with the butterfly socks with the white shoes. You understand what I'm saying? With the
Yeah.
bows. That's how I see that's how I see young girls. And I just it is too grown. I love to see I want it goes to for me, it goes to you starting your child off early at an early age as this is how she needs to be dressed or this is how she has to dress to be accepted in society. That's just how I'm thinking. And as a
Mhm.
mom, as a young mom or a mom in general, they probably thinking it's cute. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying? They're probably
Mhm.
thinking that it's cute. Like I get the little two-piece, little cute little baby stuff, all this. I get all that. But some stuff is just too grown for a little girl. Me personally, I don't think you should wear makeup until you're 16, really 18 and out the house. But that's just me. Once again, that's
Mhm.
just me because as black women, we feel out early. I've seen 12-year-olds that look my
Yeah.
age. So
Yeah.
and not saying that they look for the
Right.
hypersexualization, but once again, women develop faster than men. Women develop faster than men, and some young women don't understand that. And I do feel some young ladies dress too grown. I don't think you should be in a bra top at 13. I think your skirt, put your hands down to your knees. And if your skirt is if your skirt is above your hands and your knees, it's too short. Period. That's just me though.
One question though, is
So
it possible that we could be projecting our own insecurities or our own intentions at that age onto these children? Because what if they just like the shirt because it's cute?
what if our
I,
experiences start at the same exact age and you're like, no, because like Jordan said, you have a memory muscle to that time in life, and you're like, no, I can't have that happen for my kid. And so we are almost projecting our anxiety onto our
Right.
kids because of our experiences and the culture that we were a part of back then, despite what you're a part of right now. But I get you. I have a
Mhm.
14-year-old who looks like she's my sister, and she can wear clothes, except they don't make clothes for women that have a,
Right.
a healthy body. They make clothes for, slim and trim, and
Yeah.
it makes her feel so excluded. It is so sad.
Mm.
And it's almost like everything. I'm like, I'm sorry, Icy. Like she's all legs. She puts her hands down.
she's beautiful.
Is going to go past her shorts. She got some long arms. Like the clothing in itself, it's like they
Right.
thank you. But the clothing itself is almost so like they purposely do that to make sure that the parents only have so much of an option, or the child
Right.
is
Mm.
mirroring their parent and they want to be
Right.
as fabulous as their parent, and it just doesn't matter. It ultimately it doesn't matter. Our kids are just not safe
Yeah.
in certain parts of the world.
Mhm.
And although they're safe here in Germany, I've had a hard time with that. I think I've had a couple of panic attacks
Mhm.
just because I'm like, why is your 5-year-old walking the street by themselves? Like, what's happening? That's a female. And they're like, oh, no, it's fine. I can't get used to that. I have to return to the Western world with my kids. That's not going to happen. We just live in different times. And I'm just going to say, like, I'm trying to be adaptable, but be very mindful. Like, these things really still exist, from the clothing that they're offering our children, from our kids looking older because we're just special that way.
No,
um,
and to agree to you on that though, because like you said, it is different over there. Because I from what I've gathered as far as like researching a little bit, Germany is one of the countries that doesn't really participate in the whole. Well, they didn't have a strong presence of like in slavery and human trafficking kind of behavior mentality, whereas
Mm,
everywhere else kind of did more so than others, especially
yeah.
America, where like literally people that we went to people. I found out a few years ago somebody I went to high school with were also portrayed in the role of human sex trafficking, and it was a female selling other females to other people. So it,
Hmm.
it's it, it's crazy in America that is the thing, because once again we all grew up at a time where we didn't have to worry about getting snatched up, and now it's pretty much okay when your child. Now it's a pretty much like the system makes it okay. That's all I can say, because they
I feel
make
like
it
it's an
okay.
underground business. It's an
No, it
underground
is
business.
100%. Because
Yeah.
I like if you can look this up on and you can look this up on Google if you like. You get more time for drugs, violent crimes than you do for selling a human being.
Well, and
Yes.
a
About
lot of time it's because they
Yes.
victim blame. It's not this person's fault. That victim should have done more to not be victimized. Like they were dressing too inappropriately or they were under the influence. There's always some percentage of the blame put on the victim. And I think that's why the punishment is so short, which is ridiculous.
like people
And
get away
child.
like America gets away with and they're they have the whole the social security number is it is a product to them, and they pretty much make money off of selling a human being, period. Because you can there's no way you can tell me that you notice that your people are missing and they're being sold somewhere. Somebody's getting a cut. That's how I look at it. But that's a topic
Yeah,
for another day. Conspiracy
that
theory.
is.
Well, they call it conspiracy to basically underplay it, but these are just facts. These are just facts. Because otherwise, what's his name wouldn't have been killed in the cell.
Oh,
Uh,
Wine?
the Weinstein
No,
guy.
no. Was it Weinstein?
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein or Weinstein, whatever.
Epstein. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
Jewish
Yeah.
guy, whatever. Him. So it's like America doesn't care about that. So
And they're
it kind of
targeting
gives you a
people too, like they know.
yeah, and it's like they it's a culture shock when you go somewhere else, because now you've been conditioned to like, yo, keep your guard up 24/7, watch your
Yeah,
kid,
that is
because
so true.
if you sleep for 1 second, your kid's gonna be on a milk carton somewhere, and you're never gonna find
Yeah. But that's the sad truth. Like in America, I keep my head on the swivel. Lincoln can't go nowhere by himself. The bathroom? Oh no, you can't go in there by yourself. Nope.
it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy out
But
here. It's
when we
like
lived in
everyone's crazy.
Japan, I was sending my 3-year-old to the bathroom by himself. Yeah, go ahead to the bathroom. I'll be right here. When you're done, come on back out. Like,
But as a parent, my son, he's 9, he's 10, and he's like, Mom, why do I have to go in the ladies' bathroom? Because that's where we going.
right, because that's where it's
That's
safe.
where we're
I
going. He
can
was like,
keep an
Mom,
eye on you.
I don't want to do that. But this
Right.
once again but I feel like that only for him. I don't think he has a tough skin like my daughter and my other 2 kids. And but I'm protective over all of them, believe it or not. But I think I was too protective. That's why they branched out on their own, just to they want, because if it was really left up to me, as much as I talk about them, they probably wouldn't have. They'd probably be sitting over here in the house with me, but I have to, let them experience the hyper. My daughter, she's beautiful. She's thin. She's that typical, what you want to, the skinny girl, with the perky boobs and the
That's
little
American
cute
standards.
booty.
That's American
Yeah.
standards.
Yeah, well, she has the American standards, and I know that she is looked at sexually. I do, even though she will wear a long sleeve shirt and some pants at 90-degree weather. But the way she wears it and the way she
Right.
exposes, she will be looked at
Right.
sexually because of that. So
I
Yeah,
hate to cut this conversation short, but you know what time it is. So, with that being said, final thoughts, final thoughts, final thoughts. We talked about a lot. Um, Kirsty, final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, where do we draw the line between accepting bodies for how they show up and putting our own narrative on those bodies. It's more of a question. I'm ruminating on it and how I can be a part of just accepting bodies as beautiful as they are, not putting anything of my own or society owns mindsets on. So yeah.
Thank you. That's a great one. Accepting bodies is beautiful. Yes. Miss Ebony.
What I've gathered from it, basically just learning again, and then actually seeing it from my eyes, and actually, like I said, open to it, because once again, all that you're talking about, I probably have been through and seen it. So I'm actually learning how to accept. We're gonna use the word accept. That should have been my word. Accepting, what it is or how it is, and drawing boundaries. Yeah, I like that. I'm taking that from you, Kristen. Drawing boundaries. What we say no.
Okay. Thank you. Mike.
To be honest with you, I have nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I have nothing because
Well,
it's
thank
like,
you.
yeah, I have nothing to be.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, I can make up something and it'll sound good and profound, but it's not from the heart, so I have nothing.
Authenticity. I appreciate that. Thank you. Trish.
I'm gonna go with Mike. I have nothing other than just building a community where if my kids do go somewhere and there's somebody that knows my child, they can just stand up for them in those times. In the event it does happen, knock on wood. But I just, it's a system. It's the system. It is literally a system.
Building safe communities. I hear that. Yeah. My final thoughts, regardless of what people are wearing, whether they're wearing everything or nothing, people's intentions are always going to be their intentions, and we can't control what other people think or feel in regards to us. And so to that, I personally am challenging myself to just be more mindful of how I'm expressing myself, how I'm representing myself out in the world. Am I dressing for myself, or am I dressing for other people's expectations? And just really being authentic to who I am, and really fully being open to expressing who I am as an individual, as a human being, without tiptoeing and trying to cover up and hide and run away from my body because somebody else wants to sexualize it. So that is my thought. That is my thought. But that is our time for today. But just because it's our time, it doesn't mean that our conversation has to end. We love hearing from our viewers. So if you want to comment below with any final thoughts that you may have, or any input regarding the topic of hypersexualization, we would greatly appreciate it. But thank you all for leaning in, and until next time, bye.